flying in the sky. Cliff racer fly so high, fly.
Welcome guys, I'm Blaine Blast. Let's you and me go on a magical adventure to the plains of Nirn, where mortals ascend to divinity, mages command the forces of the undead, and evil princes impose their will upon the citizenry in this high fantasy, lore-rich MMORPG. The Elder Scrolls Online was developed by ZeniMax Online Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks to the Windows PC platform in 2014. It shares the same game world and lore with the Elder Scrolls Arena, Daggerfall, Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim, as well as some others whom shall not be named.
You won't escape!
Within the histories of the Elder Scrolls, you will find lore galore, be it historical, political, or environmental. Most everything you see has a story to be heard. In order to understand it all, you would have to devote immense amounts of time, like with many other real-world history subjects. In fact, there's so much here to be seen and heard that I was a bit hesitant to even try to make this video, fearing I would be remiss in many explanations. But please bear with me. My experience with the Elder Scrolls dates back all the way to 1998, when I was a poor young boy in New Orleans who found a game at a next-door neighbor's garage sale for $1. The case of the game said Neverwinter on it. I didn't care what it said though, because I just wanted a game even though I didn't have a computer. And I always dreamt that one day I would have one. When I got home, I opened the case, and behind the Neverwinter disc was a disc called Daggerfall. I was enamored with the art on it, and would often look at the disc and wonder what kind of adventures I might get up to with it one day. I was extremely excited for it. It wouldn't be until 2002 I would be actually able to play my first Elder Scrolls title. In 2002, June 6th, the Elder Scrolls Morrowind would release, and I would get my first Gateway PC from Walmart the very same day. I'd been saving some money, so I bought the Elder Scrolls Morrowind, and my mom bought the PC, and it was history from there on in. The amazingly deep lore to be had in these games can keep you entertained indefinitely. You know, if you're into that. I was completely captivated by the game in this universe created by Bethesda Games. I can remember getting chills and being genuinely terrified seeing Dagoth cryptically meander inside the dark caverns of the Red Mountain.
Welcome, Moon and Star, to this place where destiny is made.
Or feeling a sense of urgency when you saw a cliff racer flying overhead.
Flying in the sky, cliff racer fly so high, fly.
Knowing you might lose an unknown amount of progress if you die. When I first saw a fully armored orc in Daedric armor slowly running towards in that familiar Elder Scrolls run cycle, it was actually scary. I can't think of any other game that really made me feel that way. When you played the Elder Scrolls, you got that feeling that all the places you visited really meant something. And if you went inside, you would somehow meet a figure of legend, or some storied insurmountable warrior or archmage paragon, not to mention the feel of freedom. The level of agency you have over your own adventures in the Elder Scrolls is legendary. From the beginning of the game, you're presented a suggested path, but can choose to set off in which direction you so choose. Although some can take longer to set you free than others, Skyrim, but the Elder Scrolls Online offers the same freedom of choice, allowing you to freely adventure on your own, with you choosing to complete quest at your leisure whenever you see fit. The entire game is level scaled, meaning that no matter where you go, no matter what you do, no matter which DLC you choose, the enemy will be at the same level as you, no matter what level that is. So let's go ahead and get into the character creator. Now, you don't have any gender lock or anything cringe like that, but which race you choose will dictate your starting area, and certain races are a part of certain alliances. Depending on which alliance you are a part of, you will experience different side stories. So the Aldemir Dominion is an alliance consisting of the High Elf race, or Altmer, who boast a high intelligence and mastery over magic, the Wood Elf race, or Bosmer, deft marksmen, who boast high agility, and the Khajiit race, known for their high intellect, cunning, and agility. The Ebonheart pack consists of dark elves, or Dunmer, who are proficient in archery, swordsmanship, as well as the magical arts, the Nords, who boast physical strength as well as a resistance to the cold, and the Aragonians, or Saxleal, who are in possession of high agility and hand-eye coordination, making them terrifying assassins. Not to mention they can breathe underwater. Last but not least, we have the Daggerfall Covenant, which consists of the highly magical Breton race, a mix of northern humans and elf, their mixed heritage making them effective across many professions. The Redguards, genius swordsmen and mystifying magicians, and the Orcs, or Orsimer, who possess incredible physique as well as the strength that comes with it, making them amongst the most terrifying warriors in the land. There's also your basic human race called Imperials, who tend to be shrewd diplomats, tacticians, and traders. It's paywalled though. We want to be a mage this time, so we choose High Elf. You get to choose from a pretty decent little number of sliders and options. The graphics aren't the best, but they're just fine. A respectable amount of voices are available, and no tone access, but it is what it is.
Oh! Whoa! Oh! Oh!
After a bit of Altmer research, I find a suitable name and we can begin.
There you are, on your feet. I know magical translocation can really upset the stomach. Just take a moment and get your bearings, all right?
We appear on the Isle of Balfiera behind bars. Clan Durini were once a powerful clan of Altmer merchants who ruled over the land of High Rock, the Breton region, for hundreds of years, employing devious political maneuvers, poisoning and even murdering to rise to power, until the aftermath of the Battle of Glenumbra Moors led them to dwindling in power and Breton nobility assuming control of the region. Norianwe says we dropped out of a portal into this place and a Daedra followed us. The word Daedra in the Aldemari dialect translates directly to not our ancestors. These Daedra are legion and they can never die, but only be defeated temporarily. Most of the Daedra we encounter on our travels would be Lesser Daedra. Lesser Daedra toil in service of their respective princes. There are 17 Daedric princes, each with their own realm known as the Plains of Oblivion. These Daedric princes possess insurmountable power and can be perceived as evil to holy, all the way to enigmatic. We agree to help Norianwe with this Lesser Daedra threat if she frees us from our temporary prison. Now the combat. I feel like this is where most people who come here expecting Skyrim Online end up losing interest. The melee combat is akin to that of the Elder Scrolls Oblivion minus certain directional power attack. You won't be hitting any slow motion long shot cutscenes or beheading any Imperials in flashy executions here. It's an MMO and that's how it behaves. You can do light or heavy attacks, block, interrupt, roll, or perform a skill. It usually devolves into the player spamming their weapon skills in a flurry of combos, creating something completely different than the light or heavy attack patterns you would be doing in a traditional Elder Scrolls game. For me, the most fun I've had is playing a mage where you still cast spells like traditional Elder Scrolls games, but it's still different, faster. The premise is still the same. You cast magic using magicka or stamina, which is kind of weird, but somehow it's not the same, and I can understand how people would be put off when they were expecting the traditional Elder Scrolls combat. All around the island, they've armor sets and weapons for new players to grab, ensuring them ready for the great adventure ahead. We finally confront this Daedra named of Shayazel with the help of Norianwe.
Mealworm. You cannot kill what cannot die.
You did it!
We cut down the demon to gain access to what's called the Keyrights Gallery. This place will allow us an option to reach a number of different locations instantly, beginning our adventure as we see fit.
The question for you, I suppose, is where to first?
We can either choose to begin 2 of 3 political storylines, taking us across Tamriel in a sweeping conquest with 1 of 2 alliance leaders, or you can choose to begin any of the DLC stories you have unlocked. These political storylines are grandiose in both scale and scope. The amount of quests and regions they span are great, and for us to undertake even one of them in this video would be far too much, so for this playthrough we'll be playing the MSQ, which is long enough in itself.
We submit to your will and call forth the chains of cold.
They're performing a ritual, preparing the way for a dark anchor.
Opening rift.
worse than we thought. The plane melt has begun.
The portals reach from our side to theirs. That means there is a traitor.
Perhaps it was simply arrogance. Perhaps it was all part of his grand scheme. Who can know the logic of a Daedric prince?
Claims it fulfills a prophecy in those wretched scrolls of his.
Imagine seeing your nemesis succeed where you failed.
Let the way be opened!
I am patient.
Let the will of Moloch Baal be denied!
This world will one day be mine.
I head through a portal to Canarthi's Roost, which is my alliance's starting zone, and we meet Razumdar, Eye of the Queen, Queen Iren Arana Aldmeri, the unforeseen queen.
Welcome to Canarthi's Roost, friend.
Raz bids us help a few locals around the area in the name of the Alliance.
Please, I need your help. My master's life is in danger.
Turns out that if you attack innocents, you will incur a bounty and be attacked on sight by the citizenry as well as the guards, until you either pay the bounty, go to jail, or die.
Crime in progress! Call a guard!
You lowborn cur!
I hope you don't think you'll get away with that.
During our endeavors in the name of the Queen Iren Arana Aldmeri, we are contacted by a hooded figure who brings a message from an unknown benefactor.
Greetings. My benefactor wishes to speak to you about a matter that could affect the fate of our world.
We head over there to see what this person wants with us. Seems we were murdered in some ritual and end up in what looks like to be hell. Lyris shows up to swing an axe to get us out of the cell as we move through the complex.
The name's Lyris. I hope you've still got some fight left in you. You're going to need it.
Before we're contacted by a hollow projection of an old man.
The Prophet.
Greetings, resident. Like you, I am a prisoner in this place. You must rescue me, and I, in turn, must rescue you.
Turns out we really are dead and now interred into Cold Harbor, plane of Molag Bal. Molag Bal, Stonefire, Daedric Prince of Domination, the kinfather of vampires, god of schemes, often associated with and worshipped by necromancers, vampires, and others who subscribe to the dark arts. There are 17 planes dedicated solely to their respective princes, with Molag Bal claiming ownership over the one called Cold Harbor. The book titled The Opusculus Lame Balta Mesamorti tells tale of a vile Daedric prince and the origins of vampirism. It speaks of the Prince of Domination, Molag Bal, and his intense hatred for RK, the god of cycles such as the seasons as well as life and death. Molag Bal would manifest himself to Nirn directly and target one of RK's followers, a woman named Lame Bolfag. The Prince of Domination would proceed to perform the worst kind of sexual assault act we know of in civilized society. I'm sure you understand. A group of nomads known as the Needs would find the broken and violated Lame attempting to nurse her back to health. Lame would die shortly amongst these nomads, at which time they decided to have her cremated, but before they could carry out the cremation process, Lame arose from the grave and killed the nomads in a frenzy of bloodlust. That day, Lame would become the first vampire and venture across Tamriel, spreading her newly given gift. This being just one example of the influence these Daedra and Daedric princes have on the land of Nirn. After fighting through waves of Molag Bal's minions, we come across a soul shriven by the name of Cadwell.
Faced each other, drew their bows,
and stabbed themselves.
Soul-shriven are immortals who have had their souls stolen away by Daedric power.
Hello, what's this? Out for a stroll then? Lovely day for it.
Sir Cadwell, even in his soul-shriven form, retains his consciousness as well as chivalrous nature and ideals he held dear in the time he was alive.
Oh dear, well that is inconvenient, isn't it? Tell you what, I happen to know another way in, much more of a scenic route. Rather a fun little jaunt actually, full of traps and corpses and nasty beasties filling up the bits in between.
With help from Sir Cadwell, we make way to where the old man prophet is being held, and it turns out he can't leave unless someone else with a soul takes his place. Lyris, being the only one with a soul, decides to take his place, allowing us to escape.
Freedom!
Before we're allowed to escape, Molag Bal makes an appearance to summon one of his favorite minions to stop us.
The mortal thinks it can defy me. Futile. Soon your world will be in my chains.
Come, I will protect you.
Once we defeat the Child of Bones, the prophet beseeches Akatosh, the dragon god of time, so that we can escape Molag Bal's plane of oblivion.
Great Akatosh, dragon god of time, I require your strength. Let the way be opened. Let these wandering souls return home. Let the will of Molag Bal be denied.
In a short while, the prophet contacts us again, requesting we meet with him.
Welcome to the Harborage Vestige. This is as comfortable a home as an old dried-up husk like myself could hope for.
The old blind man tells tale of how he lost his sight. He glimpsed the contents of an Elder Scroll. Usually, even glimpsing an Elder Scroll momentarily takes significant amount of preparation, and those unprepared stand to have everything taken away from them if they make the attempt to even glimpse the contents of the scrolls. The old man then tells us story of Manny Marco, the King of Worms.
Baron Aquilarius, you are no heir to Alessia. You will pay for your sacrilege. The veil between Tamriel and Oblivion tears and splits asunder.
What's happening? The sky's opening up. This is bad. This is very bad. Ah!
Manny Marco, King of Worms, a formidable mage of Altmeri ancestry. Along his path, he would study the art of necromancy, which would lead him to become a lich. Manny Marco would found the Order of the Black Worm and become the most prominent enemy of the Mages Guild establishment. Documentation dating back to the Second Era tells of him and his companion, Vanus Galerion. Manny Marco, being of royal Altmeri blood, would be inducted into the Psijic Order along with Vanus Galerion. During their time in the Order, Manny Marco fostered a growing infatuation with the art of necromancy, causing his friend Vanus to take heed. Vanus confronted Manny Marco about his unbecoming obsession under the Kapora Tower. Your wicked mysticism is no way to wield your power. Your studies must cease, because you only bring horror to the spirit world. Manny Marco paid him no mind, eventually growing to hate Vanus, as well as any teachings espoused by the Psijic Order. Soon Manny Marco would be banished from the Order, angering Vanus, who would also leave in order to establish the Mages Guild of the Second Era. Manny Marco, now freed from the rules of the Psijic Order, would go on to study necromantic arts and procedures used to enthrall souls and the undead to his will. Manny Marco would go on to become public enemy number 1, often being associated with the dead and undead alike, as well as anything repulsive, such as worms. Somewhere within his training, he had become undead himself, achieving a form of immortality. Because of the vast power Manny Marco possessed, he would often have the ears of great political figures across the land of Tamriel, thus leading him into the company of the Imperial Emperor Varan Aquilarius. Manny Marco would fool the young Emperor Varan Aquilarius into believing that, although not being born into Dragonborn blood, he could achieve the status of Dragonborn with the help of the King of Worms and the Amulet of Kings. Molag Bal would use the Amulet of Kings to merge his own plane of oblivion, Cold Harbor, with the land of Nirn, giving him free pick of any mortal souls he would like at any time. all while Manny Marco schemed to outwit the Lord of Schemes and take the Amulet of Kings and use it to absorb Molag Bal's power, replacing him as a god. After story time, it's time for us to go back to Cold Harbor and rescue Lyris, who took the old man's place. The old prophet opens up a portal back into Molag Bal's realm, and we encounter the enslaved Lyris, toiling away making weaponry for Molag Bal and his legion of minions, her personal effects strewn about Cold Harbor.
You're alive. Are you really here, or is this another trick?
We encounter Trials in order to retrieve her gear, where visions of the past await.
Lyris, is this true, child?
You were always so cold. So distant. My mother died giving me life. It was my fault. I should never have been born.
We find her armor in a different chest about a camp patrolled by a few named
something?
commanders.
I can't believe it. This armor is who I am. It's what I am.
Once re-equipped with her weapon, Lyris uses it to advance further into Cold Harbor.
Stand back. No damn pile of pebbles is gonna stop me now.
That's a strong axe right there. We see vision of another of the 5 companions initially betrayed by Manny Marco being held somewhere within the tower, Sai Sahan, a Red Guard sword saint.
Sai, what's happened to you? What have they done?
Lyris. Lyris, I can see you. Are you really there?
Sai, it's me. We're seeing some kind of vision of you. Do you know where you are?
We fight through many Lesser Daedra or Dremora until we encounter Molag Bal's manifestation of terror. We successfully escape Cold Harbor with Lyris Titanborn and return to the Prophet in the cave.
Lyris-chan, are you alright?
Yes, Prophet, I'm fine. The vestige freed my mind from the Daedra's control.
Thank the Divine.
Before we begin the next quest, we stop by the outfit station to transmog some gear. The way it works is you can change not a piece of gear, but the gear slot to look any way you so choose. Granted, you've already collected the appearance you want to change it to. So no matter how much you change your gear around while leveling, you will always look the same way depending on what cosmetic look you've assigned to each slot. The price to transmog these slots can be paid with a paltry amount of coin, or you can buy a token for it from the cash shop. There is no pay to win, so we won't be going into that much detail about the cash shop. After being contacted by Abner Tharn in Cold Harbor, who we previously thought turned traitor with Manny Marco, we determined the best way to rescue Sai Sahan is to also rescue Abner Tharn, who formally requests asylum. We enter Cold Harbor again to mount a rescue of Abner Tharn, who claims to know the location of Sai Sahan.
You appear to have arrived in the Wretched Squalor, a shantytown of Soul Shriven outside Menimarco's castle.
Once again, with the help of Sir Cadwell, we are able to advance the Plains of Oblivion with little difficulty or confusion.
I say, jolly good timing. Lyris enchanted, as always. And you're looking fit for someone, so how can I put it? Deficient in the soul department?
We reach Abner Tharn, who slaves away under the close supervision of Manny Marco's worm cult.
Begone, insufferable worms! I'm working as fast as I can.
Abner Tharn tells of how Manny Marco is not actually loyal to Molag Bal, but is plotting to overthrow his lord.
Manny Marco isn't doing any of this to serve Molag Bal. His ultimate plan is to out-scheme the God of Schemes and to replace him. The Amulet of Kings is the key to everything. Why do you think he kidnapped Sai Sahan? He's torturing him, trying to get him to reveal the amulet's hiding place.
Before Manny Marco appears as a projection, having been listening to the whole thing the entire time.
Now, Tharn. No telling my secrets. Go to your room, Abner. I will deal with you shortly.
Once we weaken Manny Marco, Abner can disconnect Manny Marco's connection to this place, allowing us to mount an escape.
Manny Marco, you dare attack the Chancellor of the Elder Council? His power wanes, Vestige. Strike him down, while his attentions are on me.
How dare you betray me, Tharn! Your suffering will be legendary.
Once again, it's Sir Cadwell to the rescue, and this time he decides to leave such a hellish place and return back to Tamriel with us.
Hello again. Need a way out? I'll have that open in just a moment. Come with you? You mean leave Cold Harbor? Well, I don't know. It's been a very long time since I've seen the world I left behind. Do you think it's wise?
Now, with Abner Tharn rescued, it's time for him to tell us where Sai Sahan is being held.
Truth be told, I don't know the precise location, but I do know that he is Manimarco's prisoner, and that the King of Worms is trying to pry the location of the amulet from him.
What? You son of a bitch!
Are you insane? Get away from me, you brutish she-troll!
Lyris, stand down.
He's done nothing but lie to us from the beginning. I don't care what he says. He'll always be Manimarco's toady.
The old blind prophet then reveals his true self to us.
You've only known me as the prophet, but that is not my true name. I am Varen Aquilarius.
Our fallen emperor, in the tattered robes of a moth priest, blind as a newborn kitten.
Don't lie, Catman. I saw you eat that flower. I can't let you harm this forest without penance. The Green Pact demands that you pay for your indiscretions.
So, the Green Pact. The Green Pact is an agreement made between Bosmer not to harm in any way any greenery that grows within their forest as a way to preserve nature.
The plants and the trees are sacred to the Bosmer. All true Bosmer, at any rate. I demand retribution for the flower you slaughtered and devoured.
Someone help! You there! Please, talk some sense into that elf! He's a lunatic!
When we arrive inside the Halls of Torment, we encounter taunting visions of Sai Sahan, presented by one of Molag Bal's commanders.
Where is the Amulet of Kings? Tell me or I'll gut you like a fish with your own sword.
She uses the inner thoughts of Sai and Lyris to confuse them in attempts to hinder our advance, whilst we hear memories of Sai being tortured by Manimarco to give up the Amulet of Kings.
Where is the Amulet of Kings?
Where's the Amulet of Kings? This can all be over if you just tell me. You can finally rest. You'd like that, wouldn't you, son?
We finally arrive at the room where Sai is being beaten and whipped with lashes of fire and defeat the Duchess of Anguish before we can escape via portal.
Who dares to defy the Duchess of Anguish? I will tear out your heart and make you feast upon it.
Sai is in pain. Release his bonds, quickly.
You have done it, Vestige. Bring him through the portal, quickly.
Now that we've got Sai Sahan back, we're to go and grab the Amulet of Kings, which only Sai knows the location.
I hid the amulet in a sacred catacomb protected by magical wards.
We arrive in the Valley of Blades so that Sai Sahan can retrieve a Ring of the Divine, Stendar, that we will need in order to retrieve the amulet. When we get there, it's under siege by Manimarco's forces.
Sai Sahan!
Are you injured?
Intruders.
What happened?
Cultists. They attacked the Abbey.
In the name of Molag Bal, come forth and destroy his enemies!
With this cave being the resting place of great sword singers of legends past, such as Divad Hunding and Ansei Sadima, only the greatest of sword saints and just warriors in general, the great necromancer takes advantage of their corpses.
Blasphemy! How dare you raise the honored dead to fight your battle!
Rest in peace, honored dead.
We handle the situation and can move on to the next phase of the recovery plan.
I will contact you when they return and we will begin the journey to Sancretor.
You're a fan of poetry, aren't you? How's this then? As I was going out one day, my head fell off and rolled away. But when I saw that it was gone, I picked it up and put it on. Rather like that one.
When we arrive at the ruins of Sancretor, Manimarco is already waiting that he might take the amulet for himself.
How did you find this place?
Do you really think I'd allow you to escape the halls of torment if I couldn't track your every movement?
Sai, no! Manimarco, stop! You're killing him!
After fighting off hordes of worms, we can finally unlock the sanctuary where Sai has the ring hidden.
Look, the amulet. I can see it from here.
Inside awaits Manimarco's mortal form, a grave threat indeed, but together we're able to overcome him.
beginning. Don't stop now!
Or so we thought.
Do you really think that death can stop the most powerful necromancer Tamriel has ever known?
Turns out Manny Marco's boast of immortality were not just hyperbole.
First step towards true immortality. Now witness my true power! Watch as I rise up from the grave and ascend to godhood!
Worm! You think you can betray the Lord of brutality and domination without consequence? You will pay for your arrogance. You will writhe in agony for the rest of eternity. Your tortured screams will echo throughout oblivion to serve as a warning to others.
Look at how everyone just saunters off like the Lord of Brutality just didn't appear and abduct one of the biggest threats of our time. Definitely a bit strange. We retrieve the Amulet of Kings and can finally return back to Tamriel.
Everything Manny Marco did was designed to pit us against each other. We can't let that happen.
Once back, Varen shows us the now enslaved Manny Marco in the same situation from which we recently rescued Sai Sahan.
Behold the fate of the King of Worms.
Please, no more! It was a misunderstanding, Great One! Let me serve you! Let me prove my loyalty! No more, I beg of you!
Manimarco's torment will be endless. The god of schemes will use him to set an example.
Sai Sahan would like to extend an invitation for us to become the 5th companion in place of Manny Marco the Betrayer before we can begin to launch our assault on Molag Bal and his plain meld scheme.
We want you to join us as our 5th member. You were the champion we should have had with us back then. Don't look so grave. This is largely symbolic, but please, humor an old soldier.
Abner Tharn devises a plan where we would use the Amulet of Kings to imbue us with divine energy that we might rise up and challenge Molag Bal to halt his evil scheme. The plan can only work because Molag Bal is still in possession of our soul, and we are to enter Cold Harbor again and perform the ritual. We're approached by the Great Mage, past companion of Manny Marco, leader of the Mages Guild, Vanis Galarian. The Mages and Fighters Guilds are to help us on our quest to stop Molag Bal, as this business concerns the whole of Tamriel, not just the 5 companions.
Thank you for coming so quickly, champion. I've been consulting with Countess Hakruba of the Fighters Guild. Both of our guilds believe the time has come to take the fight to Cold Harbor.
Vanis would have us go around to the other 2 alliance leaders, High King Emmerich of Cumberland.
Esteemed High King Emmerich, I thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I would not presume to waste your time without good reason.
We've known each other for some time, Master Galarion. You aren't known for your capricious whims. Tell me though, who is your companion?
And Skald King Yoren.
I will stay your execution since you came all this way. But choose your words carefully. I'm not a patient king.
With our alliance leader Queen Irene already being on board, after speaking with the alliance leaders, who I will note are at war with one another, they all agree to a meeting to discuss what must be done about Molag Bal. We arrive at the meeting place and the 3 leaders are instantly at each other's throats, leaving not even a moment's rest.
How do we know this isn't a ruse? A clever plan to divert our forces while your armies take the Imperial City.
I thought backstabbing was your favorite tactic, Emmerich.
Please, are you both so arrogant? Your weapons are children's toys compared to the horrors that Molag Bal commands.
I will not wager the future of my people on the word of a snow barbarian and an adolescent female.
Their foremost worry is who might sit upon the throne and rule over Tamriel instead of the imminent arrival of Molag Bal and his dark anchors.
You never lift a finger except to count your gold.
Please, my lords, this bickering is pointless.
We have a word or two with them personally before Molag Bal arrives to force their hands in companionship.
These are the great leaders of Tamriel. Pathetic. But how convenient to have them gathered together in one place, so I can crush them like insects.
Vanis and I will wait no longer as the Great Mage announces the assault's beginning before we ascend into Cold Harbor for the final push.
Honored leaders, you have seen the face of our enemy! Molag Bal threatens every living being in Tamriel. The Mages Guild and the Fighters Guild have agreed to join forces to launch an assault on Cold Harbor!
We arrive to be greeted by a pleasantly familiar face. Cadwell.
What's this?
Cadwell bids us onward to the Hollow City. A city mysteriously engulfed in plains of oblivion.
Survived then, have you? Jolly good. Jolly good. Rotten luck. They arrived in Cold Harbor, but in entirely different locations. Bloody unpredictable. Portals to oblivion. Not to mention Molag Bal's defenses. Nasty beasties abound. Off you go, over the bridge and head inland. There's a good chap.
We arrive at the Hollow City and are met by the groundskeeper.
Very few would dare to enter the Prince of Murder's realm of their own choosing. We've been waiting for you, Planewalker.
She tells story of the Prince Meridia. Merit Nunda, the orphaned Glimmer, Lady of Infinite Energies, the false spirit of greed, the Daedric Prince of Life and Light, Prince of the Colored Rooms. Common knowledge tells that Meridia fosters extreme hate and hostility towards anything undead, such as vampires, liches, zombies, and the like. Public outlook of Meridia's character can range from holy and positive to evil and greedy, as she would have you believe Meridia's motivations lie wholly in destroying the undead. In many adventures past, Meridia would sick great heroes on those she deemed her enemies, almost always consisting of undead or their gods. Meridia in times past assisted an Ayleid king in the protection of this city, which was under attack by Molag Bal's forces. Meridia used Molag Bal's portals he used to shuttle his minions into the city to transport the Hollow City into Molag Bal's realm of Cold Harbor, that they might just mount an attack on Molag Bal in his own home. Upon entry into Cold Harbor, we were separated from the rest of our party and were to go and collect them to the Holy City along with the Ayleid king, King Dinar Lelorian. First, we're to go and retrieve King Dinar, who's been preserved by Molag Bal throughout time. The king is being held captive to the west by Molag Bal's power.
I have waited for centuries. And waited and waited. Do you know how boring that can be?
We're to use the lights of Meridia refracted through crystals in order to free the king from his bondage. The Ayleids, or the Heartland Elves, were the first race to establish an empire in the land of Tamriel, and their lineage dates back before recorded history. There have been no sightings later than the Second Era, with their empire being overthrown during the Alessian Slave Rebellion of the First Era. The King Lelorian Dinar immediately decides himself the leader of this incursion, as no one else has risen to the position, and is fully ready to assert why he will be the one to assume the role.
Who's in charge of this group? Step forward and address me. Then allow me to rectify that. I shall lead you. We shall recover your comrades and complete your mission. If that does not work for you, your services are no longer needed.
I don't know who you are, but you aren't Fighters Guild. You have no authority over us.
Do you challenge me, then? Do you want me to kill you to prove my combat prowess to your companions?
Now it's time for us to go and rescue Vanus Galarian, the Great Mage. Vanus is being held to the east, captured by Molag Bal's forces, where they've split the facets of his very being. Before we go and save Vanus, we need to head over to one of the Standing Stones. Should you be familiar with the Elder Scrolls universe, I'm sure that name rings a bell. There are 13 Standing Stones, all providing a permanent boon to the player character, ranging from critical hit bonuses to movement speed boosts. So we make contact with the facets of Vanus Galarian's very being. The three facets are Vitality, Stamina, and Magicka. We perform whatever task they ask of us in order to free them that they might return to Vanus.
The Daedra captured Vanus. They plan to use him to power the Great Shackle.
We press on through Legion of Dromora until we reach Vanus Galarian's prison, restoring his Magicka, Stamina, and Vitality back to him.
Much better. Now, follow me out of this foul place.
Vanus won't go back to the Hollowed City immediately, not until we destroy Molag Bal's Great Shackle. We explore the facility, freeing a few prisoners who were captured along with Vanus when they came through the portal.
I appreciate the help, and I won't forget this.
We approach the Great Shackle with our newly rescued companions, Vanus Galarian and Cadwell, to mount an assault.
How about the vile shackle? We're going to give you a damn good thrashing.
Defend me while I cast this extremely powerful and fantastically impressive spell!
The battle is a long one as Molag Bal continuously opens portals, allowing seamlessly endless amounts of minions to flow through. The Great Mage's ritual is successful as the essential bits shatter and fall from the shackle.
I did it! The great shackle has been shattered! The threat of the plane meld is no more!
Jolly good. And as soon as you deal with the planar vortex, everything will be right as rain.
What?
Our next obstacle goes by the name of Molag Grunda, Molag Bal's daughter, whom the Lord of Domination is not so fond of. Before we can reach Molag Grunda, there are a few more Dremora and Daedra who need to be out of the way. We approach Molag Grunda's chambers and deal with her and her pet, and I almost die.
I'll feast on your flesh after my little pet rips it from your bones!
Well, that was disappointing. Hardly worked up a sweat.
Gotta be honest, the Molag Grunda fight was a bit lackluster. I'm not sure if it was her appearance or just the fact that she went down so quickly, but that could have been done much better, and she really didn't hold any significant presence. Our next obstacle seems to be a vampire, Vergar the Red. This particular vampire is very old, and what I assume to be a daughter of Cold Harbor. Now, daughters of Cold Harbor are females who received their gift of vampirism directly from the patron deity of vampires, Molag Bal. In the same ritual we learned about when we discussed the first vampire, Lame Bolthag, rape.
Molag Bal is the real enemy here. Let me help you free my children from the Dark Lord's thrall. Then we both win.
Nowhere does it say that she's a daughter of Cold Harbor, but some of her children are labeled as daughters of Cold Harbor, so I'd have to assume the same about Vergar the Red. We assist Vergar the Red in freeing her children who are enthralled to Molag Bal's will. Once they are free, they agree to lend us their aid in the coming assault.
The Harvest Heart has been destroyed. My children are no longer slaves to Molag Bal.
Once we get done with the vampires, we're approached by a lone Dremora matron named Lyrinth.
I offer information, aid for your quest, and you shun me.
You expect us to trust a creature of the plains?
Lyrinth seems to want to help us, as our success coincides with some objective that she would like to see achieved.
While it might be entertaining to watch you bumble about the Citadel, I would much rather just see you get about your business. I'm sure that whatever you have planned will ultimately work in my favor.
Turns out that we can't approach our final objective without a Daedric sponsor. Only Daedra can enter a certain part of Molag Bal's realm to take down his barriers. That's where the Daedra Lyrinth comes in.
I told you that you'd need my help. A Daedric ritual locks this door, and only a willing offering of kin blood will open it.
Lyrinth had been betrayed by a greater Daedra in the past and would like her revenge, but is forbidden by oath to raise hand against him, but we are not. Lyrinth opens the way to Volcanaz Ceres, so that we may kill him and take down the barrier, and she can have her revenge through us.
I have waited a long time to send Sirius into the darkness. Allow me to savor this moment, little mortal.
With the barrier down, we can make a final march towards Molag Bal's anchors that are trying to pull Nirn and Cold Harbor together.
This is our last chance to save our world. It's all or nothing now.
We're given an option of companion to take with us for this assault. Of course, we choose Sir Cadwell, and we're on our way.
How marvellous! I shall march by your side into the darkest depths of foul iniquity, our weapons aloft and aglow with the fires of eternal righteousness. You honor me this day, my friend. I gladly accept this mission.
We take care of a puzzle or two, advancing along the path until we reach Molag Bal's favorite pet, Telkor the Unforgiving. Once Telkor falls, the groundskeeper appears and she has a few secrets to reveal to us.
I have waited a very long time for this moment. You have done well, my child. I have been with you every step of the way. I provided a safe haven in Cold Harbor. I gave you knowledge of the lights of Meridia. I did not pretend, mortal. I am the groundskeeper. I merely hid the fact that I am also a Daedric prince.
With the goddess of light and life at our back, we're to ferry her from anchor to anchor so that she may break their bondage on the land, fighting off myriad minions along the way. All the while, the immense visage of Molag Bal in the background assaulting Meridia's barriers.
You cannot stop me, Meridia. This realm will be mine.
After we cut down Molag Bal's
blight
council
can destroy
upgraded
my
Tremora,
blade meld?
Meridia shields us directly from
prince
assaults
thinks
by
I would allow
Molag Bal,
this?
whilst his minions surround us in a flurry of attacks.
This may well be our last battle. Let's make them remember it.
Once Meridia completes what needs to be done, she teleports everyone within her sphere of influence out and back to the Hallowed City, and we've won. Not everyone will survive this ordeal as we discover the ancient Ayleid king mortally wounded.
My time has finally come, it seems. I have lived far longer than any of my people.
With his passing, we are contacted by Varen Aquilarius once again, and he lets us know that it's time for the final sacrifice. Someone will die in order to imbue us with divine power that we might fell Molag Bal himself.
Your deeds have been nothing short of legendary. With the plane meld at an end, Tamriel may yet endure. Now the time has come to confront Molag Bal and reclaim your soul.
We're to head back into Cold Harbor, where Varen will teleport us as close to the god of domination's seat of existence as he can. On our way there, we come across Manny Marco, who's being held in bondage and submitted to eternal torture, per wishes of Molag Bal.
There. Is that Manimarco?
You come to gloat at my torment, or is your appearance here a part of it?
We're presented a choice to either free him or just walk away, to which I walk away. Knowing this guy's history, I am definitely not letting him out. The guy is absolutely evil and there is no redemption for one so sinister. We reach the ritual site and now it's time for the great sacrifice. We are the one to choose.
Oblivion did not make me a monster. It just confirmed my own worst fears about myself. It would be fitting and honorable if you were to choose me.
We end up choosing the oldest option, Varen Aquilarius. It just seemed the best option out of the three and it made the most sense. Let me know if you would have done something different.
History may not remember your sacrifice, but those present here will never forget it. Divines of Tamriel, with this vessel of your power, the Amulet of Kings, I call upon your strength. Let this noble sacrifice be a testament to our desire to set things right and restore balance to the Mundus. Your champion stands ready. Accept this offering and imbue this vestige with your glory. Let the will of Molag Bal be denied.
Now imbued with the power of the Pantheon of the Divines, we radiate light and are adorned in a jeweled regalia. Our power multiplied exponentially, we burn holes directly through Molag Bal's domain. We even have the power to control Oblivion itself. I mean, hey, it's no Reparo, but that was still pretty cool.
Steady yourself! Reparo!
Oh my god, look at how sick that is.
We finally approach a colossal Molag Bal as we're snatched into hand. Before he can crush us outright, we use our newly found power to bring the Lord of Brutality down to size, and the fight can begin.
Your pathetic Adric trinket can't defeat me. I am Molag Bal, Lord of Domination.
Molag Bal defeated, he releases 1,000 times 1,000 souls back into the Mundus, including our own.
You have bested me and released 1,000 times 1,000 souls back into the Mundus.
Upon hearing word of our victory, Abner Tharn stole the Amulet of Kings and fled our companionship. Since he is not a Dragonborn, he cannot wear it, but he will try to benefit from its possession nonetheless. Now that we're done the main story, Sir Cadwell would like a word. He unlocks the option for us to start that final political storyline barred from us from the beginning of the game. That may have seemed like a lot, but trust me, it wasn't. The 3 political storylines could take you up to 4 times longer each, and I mean it goes deep. Not to mention the number of side quests in each region. These could take you a seriously long time to complete. I won't lie. A lot of these stories ended up being extremely long-winded with the pure amount of dialogue, but if you're a fan of this universe, then this game is a treasure trove of lore that seemingly never ends. Oh yeah, and every NPC interaction and quest is voice acted. For a game with the absolute highest amount of quests in the history of MMOs, the fact that they're all voice acted is an endeavor that blows my mind. I can only imagine what other companies who make voice acted MMOs think about this. When you have this level of thoroughness, it almost becomes seemingly irrelevant. I couldn't even imagine another company attempting what ZeniMax and Bethesda have achieved here. This game is a singularity and a paragon to RPGs. The possibility for roleplay here are myriad, and when I think about it, I'm easily overwhelmed. The game encompasses a very large amount of Tamriel as well. They've not gone as far as to include the various sub-races of Khajiit and Aragonians just yet, but neither has any of the other Elder Scrolls games, so what's to be seen here is more than you can truly imagine. The game has its own gathering, crafting, and housing with all the features you'd expect. To me, what this game represents is a vehicle for the Elder Scrolls lore, which goes incredibly deep and spans multiple eras, with each piece of content released adding rich history onto that already vast lore sheet. All those things you hear and read about in the Elder Scrolls games can be visited upon in some way here in this world, and with your friends. Even if you are brand new to the Elder Scrolls franchise and know nothing about any of this, the game still presents interesting stories for just about anyone. I can remember times playing through the political storylines and totally losing track of time, just completely enamored in all of the trickery and betrayals involved in politics. There's something extremely fun about being aside parliament or political dignitaries as an able-bodied combatant, dealing with their enemies and protecting them when things get spicy, earning that prestige and displaying that loyalty in real time. It's really something special when a king or queen seems to need you or want you in their presence, and that's something that speaks to me and my sense of enjoyment personally. If I could change anything about this game, I would change the way the story is delivered. I absolutely love that it's completely voice acted. That accomplishment in itself is a marvel, and the voice acting is absolutely superb, but you spend a rather large swath of time just sitting around listening to the NPCs, and they often have multiple dialogue options attached to them. If they could deliver that story a bit more dynamically, where they don't just have the player sitting around listening, I think that this game would shine even more brightly than it already does. To not forget, the game also has dungeons. Really cool ones if you're into that, and it's not just 1 or 2 either. The game hosts a total of 51 different dungeons, all with their own bosses and stories attached, and they really are great to enjoy. Of course, the game features PvP, but we don't speak about that. Being that this is not a competitive game, the community tends to be extremely kind and helpful, especially when you join a guild. No one really has cause or reason to be at anyone else's throat, making for an extremely roleplay prone environment. The game features a buy-to-play business model, but also offers a subscription. The subscription will give you access to all DLCs while the subscription is active, as well as provide things like a bank space increase or access to unlimited crafting material storage. For me, it's hard to say whether this subscription is worth it, as I tend to take long breaks from the game, but most players swear that it's absolutely necessary, and I can't even truly disagree with them, with the game having 30 different DLCs. Now, I know they offer different editions that include multiple different DLCs under one package, but 30 different DLCs. So let's see what other people think of the game. A great Elder Scrolls experience, but the price gouging surrounding content for it has reached the point of being ethically unacceptable on the part of the publisher. This game is decent if all you're interested in is the world, lore, and questing. The game's world is amazing, and there's hours upon hours of quests to get through, if you're into that sort of thing. I say I don't recommend it because once you realize doing anything more than exploring and questing ends up being quite a struggle, interest in sticking with the game tends to fade fast in my personal experience. I loved the game dearly. There's some really great content there, however, I found the grind a little tiresome to justify ESO Plus, which is a subscription, at the moment. Thus comes the major gripe. So now I've left the subscription model despite purchasing High Isle at €32 and a few releases before. I cannot access the dungeons for the DLC I've purchased without spending a further $11 or continue paying the subscription. Maybe I've missed something here, but if you purchase a DLC, it shouldn't be pay locked further still. It's online, but I have no friends, so to me, it's The Elder Scrolls offline. I am in my 70s. This is like the 10th review I've read where people open with they're in their 70s. How many 70-year-olds play this? I'm sorry, okay. My son wanted me to play an open game, I guess he means open world, instead of the single games I was once playing. I'm inspired by the graphics of each country that I travel in. Each one is different. The puzzles are complex but doable. Each cave is distinctive, and some are so enclosed, while others have you walk through slimy water to get to the other side of the trail. It seems so realistic at times. The storyline continues when you least expect it, and you meet characters where you least expect them. Great game. Glad I found it and play it. After reading all the negative comments about paywalls, subscriptions, and overpriced items, I was hesitant to buy the game. I bought the standard edition on sale for like $13 and have logged in every day for the past 2 months. There's so much stuff to do and so many quests. My quest log is constantly filled to the max capacity. I really like the game. It's the only one I play. Alright, how about we go over some pros and cons then? Pros. The game has good graphics. They're decent. There's a colorful art style to the game, very stylistic. The quests are fun and engaging. The community is extremely kind, very welcoming. The land of Tamriel is highly explorable. The musical score is great, just like all the other games. Game receives frequent updates. Cons. Well, you can't quest with your friends unless they're of the same alliance. The game has 30 DLCs. Storage is subscription based, well, most of it. Long-winded dialogue. The combat leaves much to be desired. All the classes seem to kind of mesh together. There's really no uniqueness. So, is ESO a bad game? Nope. It's actually quite fun. But a lot of the time for me, sitting around and listening to long-winded explanations of what I need to do next or what's just happened brings down the mood of the game a bit. I often find myself skipping through dialogue I know that I need for the context of what's going on, wanting to get straight into the action. And once you start doing that, it becomes rather difficult to stop, leading you to eventually just skipping through all the interesting content before you even learn what's actually going on. It's a slippery slope that's hard to get back up once you start down it. But hey, with the rich heritage of the Elder Scrolls and amazingly interesting stories to be had in this world, that's really not saying a whole lot. Like, between the amazing voice acting and the engaging plots offered here, come on. Or even if you're not a long-standing Elder Scrolls fan and you just want to explore a grand story spanning across a vast high fantasy land, featuring ups and downs, rights and wrongs, or good and evil, the Elder Scrolls Online will do that. So hey, what do you guys think about the Elder Scrolls Online? You like the game? Think it's good? Well, whether you love the game or despise it, I hope from the bottom of my heart that you guys are enjoying yourselves out there in this golden age of MMOs. Hey guys, Blaine Blast here. Thanks for checking out my video, I really appreciate that. I couldn't even tell you how much it means. I hope you guys got even a little bit of enjoyment out of this one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Blaine Blast out.